It's great to have you back. In case you're just joining in, this is Rise and Shine Daily. And our guest is seated in the studio, but then again, this conversation is live on Instagram and on Facebook with the handle at SpectrumTvNg. And of course, you can visit our website at www.spectrumtv.ng. I'm handing you over to Becky now. Becky?
Exactly. We have a legal practitioner and a social political commentator of the star attorneys here in Oyo, Akwa Ibom State, by name Mr. Ndifreke Inyangette Esq. You're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
It's good to see you.
Good to be here.
Great. We're talking basically about the amendment of the electoral bill. Now, we found out that there are a lot of dimensions to this particular story. One of the things is the fact that Mr. President has refused to assent to this bill for specific reasons, or for reasons that he has disclosed. One of them has to do with the fact that he says it's going to be too expensive to handle. Now, let's look at that first. Would you think that that's a good excuse not to sign?
However you want to look at it, the story is this. I personally, my own personal view, have actually never been a believer in direct primaries. I am aware that in the 2019 elections, the All Progressive Congress as a party attempted direct primaries and actually went through direct primaries. I am a member of the All Progressive Congress, and a card-carrying member. My own personal appreciation of that whole process, if you got to understand how it was a managed process basically, not minding the will of the people as direct primary would connote. I saw a process where someone just sat somewhere, prepared something, and walked towards an answer. That's the way I saw it. So, from the word go, I've never been a fan of direct primaries. That's my position. Why? Because, yes, Mr. President had cause to turn down, refuse assent to the said bill of the National Assembly. He had very, very valid grounds. Why? Because had it been he had assented to said law, one, it would go against the constitution of most parties as registered by INEC. Because the truth is that at the point of registration, you submit your constitution to INEC. And each and every the point you're going to submit, nobody clearly says in his or her constitution, I'm going to do direct primaries. So if and when the National Assembly sits back and points out, stipulates something for the political parties, they are within their limits to say, oh, INEC, we can't do this. It will also take us back to the argument of INEC, you must sponsor the processes of political parties. It's something that INEC has stopped consciously, because you had mother and father political parties that the husband and wife just sit down somewhere, register and become a political party, all because they targeted the subhead or subvention that came from INEC. So yes, it would have been a very expensive process, because imagine the All Progressive Congress, the PDP, might be able to foot the cost. The ABGA in Anambra State might be able to foot the cost. But how about the Labour Party? How about the ADP? How about the Action Party? These are issues that I believe Mr. President was properly advised towards, because to conduct an election, direct primaries means that you go to every unit of every ward and conduct that primaries. And INEC must observe mandatorily. So the challenge now becomes, does INEC have enough manpower to observe across all the units? We have a challenge, peculiarly when we're even doing indirect primaries with INEC. Most times their staff come and they don't even want to go to the different locations, their primaries, they just want to stay in the capital, and that's it. So the challenge now became, will INEC have the capacity? INEC said yes, they might have the capacity, but they have to appoint ad hoc officials. It will be the same cost as if we were planning the national elections. So yes, Mr. President was properly founded. I support him. Now, the only place I have a drawback, the only place I felt bad for the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which I will indirectly, I know at different instances, I've urged on the National Assembly to take steps to expunge that as to direct primaries, allow the political parties have a say in who they want to, in their primary process. But the only drawback from that rejection of consent or assent to that bill is the issue of electronic voting.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
that is the key issue.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the key issue. But for me as a person, I didn't believe in direct primaries, because I can tell you that is one of the best ways to manage a process. People talk, someone spoke the other about popular candidates, the village wasn't someone. I tell you the truth. electoral processes doesn't just begin with you being in the village. Do you know how they schema popular candidates? They start from the pre-qualification stage. You might be a card carrying and dues paying member of a party. The party sees that and say, oh, this chap is much more popular. Okay, let's find a way to limit his attempts. And they tell you that you've not paid dues for the past 2 years. Who says you've paid dues? It's a party. You bring out your receipts. The party tells you, oh, this is a record. Your name is not listed. You've not paid dues for 2 years. So, no matter how well you would manage the process successfully, I tell you the truth, Nigerians, as wonderful as we are, well, one set of wonders, then our politicians are the best.
Okay.
So I can tell you that no matter how well you manage the process, you want to get the best, I'll tell you that we Nigerians will always find a way to subvert that process.
Okay, now, let me put this to you. The direct primaries, don't you think that it will better democracy?
Yes. If properly managed.
Okay.
If and when properly managed, yes. For me, I'll be the first person who stick up for direct primaries.
Okay.
Why? Because I've been in the progressive opposition politics for the past 10 years plus. So, had it been we had direct primaries, I would tell you that the interest of my people who actually would understand what they want and they know, okay, these persons understand what they want, I would be a benefit. But the truth is this, with the challenges I've told you, you see a situation where a political party sets up a primaries committee and sends Mr. Ubon King to Ona and tells Mr. Ubon King, whatever you do in Ona, your answer must be this person. And they're told that from when you land in Ona, the local organizing committee has been set up to favor a particular person. So all they have to do is just to look for 10, how many words? Okay, I don't know. Okay, let me use Econo. 11 words of Econo. They look for 11 compliant persons in the different 11 words who will come and find a way, find any reason to whittle down the amount of support. Let's say they do an option A4. What if they bring reduced number of ballot paper ballot slips for that primary? So what I know is this: direct primaries would help Nigeria grow. It's going to grow our democracy fantastically well. But the challenge is this: what manner of direct primaries will we be having? Is it a state-managed one? Is it one that the most popular candidate already gets screened out before the main electionary process, like we had with the STvNg Ward 11 issue? These are the issues we're talking about. Okay. I participated in direct primaries during the IPC primaries of 2019, and I'll tell you the truth. I waited in my ward from start to finish. I did not see one material, but I heard that results were declared. But we did a direct primaries.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the question now is, we understand that the direct primaries, I mean, the National Assembly has already enumerated the reasons for this choice of direct primaries. Now, you're actually opposing it. Now, in your own opinion, or let me ask you this, don't you think that for the first time in Nigeria, I mean, Nigerians will actually have an opportunity to directly appoint who they actually want to lead them come 2023. Now, don't you think that this is a very good opportunity for Nigeria to seize, and conduct elections?
For me, I oppose everything. I oppose the fact that the National Assembly all of a sudden wants to become altruistic enough, selfless enough to begin to talk about the interests of Nigerians. Why? Because you check the one thin rhetoric behind all of this is that National Assembly members have certainly gotten to a point where they realize that they are beholden to their state governors. And take it or leave it, in Nigeria of today, even the president needs the state governors to function. No matter how powerful a president you are, the state governors have found a way to control the levers of power that even the president needs them to survive. I have a problem with the National Assembly suddenly becoming, they care about Nigerians. No, they don't. I see the direct primaries as a way of most National Assembly members being able to tell their governors, we're going to the people now, we have our own direct access. It's a bargaining chip for most of them. So for me, I have never seen anything unique about they pushing for direct primary. I just say more or less from them projecting and protecting their own selfish interests. Yes, the National Assembly might have the best intentions. Who am I to actually impute my motives, to whatever motives to their intentions? But the truth is this: direct primaries will cause more confusion. Because let's raise the issue of cost Mr. President raised. I know how much it takes the APC or Progressive Congress to conduct primaries, okay, to run general elections, let's look at the template that was brought out, the presumed template we've had in the past 2 general elections in Akwa Ibom State, where ₦1 million was given by a political party to each political unit in Akwa Ibom State. Now, let's assume that a party has to produce 1 million to sponsor primaries, direct primaries in every unit of Akwa Ibom State. The All Progressive Congress might be able to create that kind of fund. The PDP might be able to source for that kind of fund, but for other little parties, where do they get their money from? It causes confusion. So that naturally, all you do, it's crisis waiting to happen. All I need to do as a state chairman of the party is just to cross my legs and wait and say, I don't have the money, I'll go to court. I simply go to court and say, this is my constitution. Nowhere in my constitution was this stipulated that I must do direct primaries. But the federal government through the National Assembly has forced me to do direct primaries, and I'm unable, and my members are disenfranchised. That's a very valid claim.
Yeah.
It's a pre-election matter, and you'll be shocked that whatever election was conducted based on that pre-election matter, the elections will have to be done for their interest to be covered. It now takes INEC back to the issue of, we're talking about funding INEC to the tune of 500 billion for elections, and it now goes to the issue of INEC will say, okay, based on the fact that we need to make provisions for supporting political parties to conduct their direct primaries, we are now asking the federal government to do a review of our operating budget, a pre-election, 2 years to election, to make it, let's have at least 5-6 billion just for conduct of primary. Let's say 200 billion, the regularly stated sum, 200 billion per party. We have currently 18 recognized parties, if I'm correct. That is going to be a humongous sum, a humongous sum.
Okay.
For anybody.
All right, now let's jump back into the bill proper. What exactly was this bill supposed to address? Because I know there are different facets of this, and I know one of the key issues, which of course is pretty much what is boiling the polity, is the direct primaries issue. So, what are the things was this bill supposed to address?
Yes, the major thing this bill was supposed to address was the issue of electronic transmission of results.
Yeah.
For me, it's at this situation I think I would take the kite as flown by Governor Nyesom Wike, who said that direct primaries was put as a distraction. My opinion, though, direct primaries was put as a distraction to take our minds off the electronic transmission of results, which is actually the key thing. But the truth is this particular bill has brought this particular amendment. If the National Assembly can within time expunge that provision as to direct primaries and remit the bill back to President Muhammadu Buhari, this particular bill has cleared a whole lot of doubt. I know that this particular bill has also made provision. You know, INEC had brought in a new system called the behaviour system, no longer the card reader system. So this particular bill has also allowed INEC a little wiggle room to be able to incorporate the behaviour system as used in Anambra State into their guidelines. He hasn't specifically mentioned beavers, but he has given INEC more room to how to manage the election process particularly. So yes, there were a whole lot of benefits we could have had with this electoral act amendment. That's why I would say that, so as for the Governor Wike not to be proved true, I would urge the National Assembly to actually expunge that requirement of all parties conducting direct primaries and represent that bill to Mr. President for assent. It's at that point in time we would actually know if indeed there was a purpose to this whole distraction. Because I still see that distraction. Because the truth is this, all you need to do when you do the amend the Electoral Act was to touch 1 or 2 provisions. You really need this whole cosmetic approach. For me, that's the position I see.
Okay, now I understand that, you know, let me say 80% of population in the National Assembly is greatly to the APC. They are mostly populated. So I'm just wondering why the National Assembly is disagreeing with the opinion of the APC. Why are they not in agreement? Are they not still part and parcel of the decision-making body? So what is the controversy like?
No, there's no controversy.
Okay.
There's no controversy. I've gotten to a position or a time in my life where I get to understand that I don't take politicians. I take them as face value. It's only someone who doesn't understand to feel that there's a controversy. But the truth is this, I still tell you, it still boils down to what I said. I see this whole disconnect between the party and the National Assembly, that's the ruling party and the National Assembly, as more or less most House of National Assembly members trying to serve and protect their personal interests. You go across most states and you realize that most House of Reps members and senators you hear different clashes between the House of Reps members. Currently, Kano State is having experiencing some National Assembly members and the governor having their own peculiar issues. It still boils down to this issue of direct primaries, because these House of Reps members are like, I want to go back to the National Assembly, and they are like, they know that they have personal issues with their governors, and their governors will be like, as much as he controls the political levers of power, he won't allow you come back. So the only way you will have a say, or you have a fighting chance, if you were to go for direct primaries. So for me, I just see it as more as less as the National Assembly members protecting and projecting their personal interests. There's actually no disconnect. Politicians are a set of people who easily find a way.
All right, anyway, we'll just take a quick break right now and right here and see the report, a certain report. And just after that's done and over with, we will come back and wrap this up with our guests. Please stay, don't go anywhere.
For over 30 days, the National Assembly of Nigeria has been anxious waiting for President Muhammadu Buhari to sign the Electoral Amendment Act of 2021 into law. There has been growing tension in the political atmosphere as the deadline for signing the act had passed since December 19th. The National Assembly must now debate whether Buhari's input on the bill should be overridden or not. With the next presidential election scheduled for 2023, what exactly is the Electoral Amendment Act, and why should Nigerians be concerned about it? Electoral Amendment Act of 2021 is a revised version of the Electoral Act of 2010. The 2021 Act gives provision for the electronic transmission of results and the adoption of direct primaries by all political parties. The adoption of direct primaries, where parties run formal elections to declare their official candidate, has been the subject of heated debate in political sector. State governors of the All Progressive Congress Party and members of the Constitution Committee of the National Assembly have argued that Nigeria cannot afford having elections for direct primaries, as the country is said to be too poor. Kogi State Governor Smart Adeyemi, who is a member of the All Progressive Congress, has said that direct primaries will be too cumbersome and expensive to implement. However, there are also benefits of this act as well. The Senate President Ahmed Lawal, in a lecture at the National Conference College in February 2021, said that the act could foster significant reduction in electoral violence. In 2019, according to the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room, over 600 people died in Nigeria as a result of electoral violence. The 2021 amendment could also mean better electoral procedures for choosing representatives for political parties. In the past, governors nominated party primaries indirectly. Former Secretary General of Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, Anthony N.W. Sani said the indirect primaries made delegates easy to buy by governors. As of today, President Muhammadu Buhari has turned down the 2021 Electoral Amendment Act on 3 occasions, a move many observers consider controversial.
Great to have you back. In case you joined me, you are still on the program RISENSHINE, and you just saw the report and heard the analysis right there. And we still have our guests in the studio with us, and of course Becky is still here with me, and we'll jump right back into it. Just before the break, I did ask a question about what the bill was supposed to address, and you gave some, reaction to that. Now let's look at this concept of the electronic part of voting. Is this something that's pretty much feasible in this part of the world? Looking at major challenges, especially reference to how people get access to internet, get access to all of this, especially in remote areas and units, so to speak. How do you marry these two extremities?
I remember when this argument first came up in the National Assembly, I know that the issue came up as to there was a stipulation as against the provision of the Constitution that the INEC needs to report back to the National Assembly after liaising with the National Communication Commissions to let the National Assembly understand if they'll be able to achieve 100% integrity of electronic transmission of results, which a lot of people actually countered because by provision of the Constitution, INEC is not even supposed to liaise with anybody. You don't subject a statutory power of INEC to another body. The approval of another body. INEC came out and said they will be able to do electronic transmission of results. But the truth is this: on most election days in my village, I really even get network to make calls. So after the time I have to, the primary school which we conduct election is on a hilly slope. I have to get to one particular position at the end of the school field for me to even, in case dogs have come or something, for me to even be able to get a report or get feedback from other units. Now, for me as a person, I have my challenges when it comes to, I have my challenges when it comes to assessing network, even browsing on this day of elections. Now, if INEC says they have the capacity to actually achieve 100% integrity and transmission of electoral results, I want to believe they have the way, but the truth is this: in Nigeria of today, there are places that are far, far, far remote than even where I come from in the corner, for me to understand that no matter how well INEC might try, they might not be able to achieve that. But since they say they are able, I believe that once the will is there, there will be a way. But the truth is this: I actually would be surprised if we're able to achieve
100%.
Yes, 100%. I will be, because we don't even have currently, not even with our phones, there are areas you go in Akwa Ibom that you don't even have network.
True.
The areas you go within Akwa Ibom, you don't even have network. So if INEC says it's able, let's allow them. It's within their ball, it's within their court. So let's see what they will come up with.
Now, if you were to put on a scale, how much percent would you speculate INEC can achieve?
It depends on the network provider they use. It depends on the availability of service for that day. I'll give you on a scale that at least they might be able to achieve 55% coverage of Nigeria. Okay. I doubt INEC can even achieve 70% coverage. Except and until INEC will undertake a process where they'll say elections are conducted today, every returning officer is given between Saturday and Sunday to transmit results. At the point you get to a location, you can get access to internet service. You transmit results. But the truth is this: it still opens it up to manipulation.
Manipulation, that's right.
Okay, now you're still talking about network transmission and fluctuations on election day. Do you think it's deliberate, or is there anything fishy that's on your mind?
Yeah, a whole lot of things. A whole lot of things in Nigeria. Rarely do issues happen in Nigeria that are coincidental. Really.
Okay, why so?
From my personal experience, we Nigerians like to be involved and in control of our circumstances. So you'd rarely see a circumstance where any untoward happening might actually be a mishap that just occurred, natural occurrence. But for me, I won't want to cite one instance or indict anybody. But I'd say that there are also situations, also suspects that they are man-made, they are staged, they could be staged, they could be man-made.
Okay,
it could
very
also
quickly.
be natural causes, yes.
Very quickly before you say your goodbye. So there are assertions that this direct primaries has actually looked into the future and that it has seen that it would do the people a whole lot of good. Won't you buy into this school of thoughts?
See, the problem with direct primaries is not that it's not a beautiful idea.
Okay.
But it's implementation that I have an issue with.
Okay.
See, you might have beautiful, novel ideas, but how do you actually achieve it? In Nigeria of today, and from my personal experience of the 2019 direct primaries drama, we did direct primaries in the Anambra State elections, but a week ago or 2 weeks ago, you saw the Federal High Court saying that no primaries was actually conducted, that APC shouldn't have even been a party to the Anambra State governorship elections. Why? Because someone just sat somewhere, appointed committee members, and committee members disappeared after the names they listed as committee members of the primary organizing committee members. And next thing, they came out at the end of the day and brought out results and said this person won, this person won. Meanwhile, the people were out there on the field and didn't see one material. And the truth is, no matter how beautiful the idea is, yes, direct primaries, any day, anytime, I lift up my hands to it. But the truth is, who are those? It's still the same Nigeria, it's still the same politicians who find a way. Ubon Kings might be the most popular person in his community, but the truth is that they will find a way to say, oh, he just joined the party 2 years ago. They will see, they suddenly get an amendment that says, if you joined the party 2 years ago, you are not eligible. You must have stayed in the party for at least 5 years. You would see surreptitious amendments to party constitutions just to be able to limit popular candidates, the will of the people. So the truth is this, I don't have a problem with direct primaries. Yes, it has a beautiful connotation, but the truth is, achieving it in Nigeria today, I don't say it's not feasible.
Okay, very well then. I want to believe we'll put a pause right here, and thank you profusely for being part of our breakfast this morning, breakfast show. Great. And in case you're just joining in, we have been speaking with Ndifreke Inyangette Esq, who has taken out the time to share with us a whole lot of stuff with special reference to the Electoral Amendment Bill. We'll take a short break right now, and when we come back, the show continues. Please stay.